Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about the Magicka Dragonknight PvP build Eruption for the Summerset Chapter. This is a light armor, bursty PvP setup. It's optimized for Battlegrounds. I do have a written guide on my website, link in the description below. I will also put battleground footage of this build in the description so you actually can check it out, how it works in combat. And this is a very high damage build, so we're running light armor. And I will get into the more advanced stuff towards the end of the build, so I just want to go through the basics first. You can see on the left side, there is a stats screenshot with champion points, and on the right side, it is without champion points enabled. So you can play this both in champion points and non-champion points campaign. It is optimized for Battlegrounds, keep that in mind. As you can see, we are running the Lover Mundus Stone to get even more damage. However, now this is a very important thing. If you feel you do not have enough sustain, change this to the Atronach. The Atronach will give you more Magicka recovery and therefore you can sustain better. So if you feel like you don't have enough sustain, too much cost poisons on you and so on, then definitely run the Atronach. Or if you're playing solo in a group, the Lover will be a little bit better because we'll have automatically better sustain and so on. Okay, that's this. Buff food wise, you want to run Clockwork Citrus Fillet because it gives you max health, max Magicka and Magicka recovery, and also some health recovery, but whatever. If you don't want to buy this because it's too expensive, you can run the Witch Mother's Potent Brew, and you will. This is basically the same thing, it just has like 200 less Magicka and health. So yeah. And once again, this MagDK build is completely it has a complete different playstyle from your usual heavy armor permablock MagDK, okay? So you really need to learn how to keep up the buffs and how to apply debuffs on the enemy and stuff like that. You cannot block too much because you don't have that much stamina and so on. Usually it's not a problem because you kill people in legit 2 seconds. Now in terms of race, again, if you want more sustain, choose a Argonian, because Argonians have really nice passives, so you have more stamina and Magicka when you pop a potion. I like Dark Elf because it gives me 7% more flame damage. That just is such a huge increase, that's why we do so much damage. It literally tears through enemies. Sometimes when I apply Burning Embers, like half the enemy's health, if they run medium light armor, it takes away half their health. Like on the hit, on the impact hit. It's completely insane. Now, the next thing Dark Elves also have is 3% max Magicka and another 6%. So 9% max Magicka and 6% max stamina. But like I said, if you want, run Argonian. Argonians are more or less the best race for PvP just because they have better sustain than all other setups. But I do like the bursty playstyle with this build, that's why I'm a Dark Elf. Be not a vampire, we are already in light armor, so we take more damage than usual. But we have shields and stuff like that, we'll get into that later. Now, if you're a vampire, you will take way more damage, it's really not worth it for this setup. Gear wise, so I have 2 different combos on my website. I have one time we have Julianos with Burning Spellweave and Valkin. And one time we have Bloodthorn, Spellweave and Valkin. Bloodthorn might be nice in Cyrodiil because you get a little bit better stamina sustain. But for Battlegrounds, I found this setup here to be more... like, it performed a little bit better. We run 5 Julianos. And as you can see, all impen, as much impen as possible, because you really want to mitigate some of those crit damage hits, very important. All tri-stat glyphs. I just didn't swap this here because it's a new helmet. But yeah, all tri-stat, all impen. And 1 heavy, 1 medium, 5 light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we want 5 light armor. Why we want 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium is because of Undaunted. So you get 6% more overall stats. Plus, you need a heavy Julianos chest because it increases your armor's resistances by quite a bit. So as you can see, we are stacking quite a lot of spell damage here. So we have Spell Weave is the next set. When you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you have a 50% chance to apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by 519. That's why you have seen the screenshots before, when we are fully buffed. On top of the infused weapon damage enchantment, that's why we reach so much spell damage, and with that amount of spell crit, you just tear through enemies. Now, we only front bar this set, okay? This is our front bar here. So Burning Spell Weave is only front barred. So we have 3 Burning Spell Weave jewelry and 1 staff. Staves, or like two-handed weapons, do now count as 2 bonus. So you only need 3 jewelry and 1 weapon and you will get the full 5 piece. Because we mostly deal damage on the front bar, it will apply Burning Spell Weave all the time here. That's why we only need it here, because this is more our buff bar. Keep that in mind. Oh, what happened there? Jesus Christ. Anyway. Like I said, when you deal damage, you have a 50% chance. And we have so much fire damage. Burning Spell Weave will almost always proc in the first 2 to 3 hits. Trust me. Last set is Valkin. Now this is a really nice set. First off, gives us extra health. And when you deal damage with a damage or time effect, you have 8% chance to summon a meteor that deals 10k damage to the target and 4k flame damage to all other enemies within 5 meters. Keep in mind, we are in the non-champion points campaign and it is 10k damage. You cannot dodge roll this ability or this proc. So that's why, like, you will get so many kills with this Valkin meteor, trust me. And 8% sounds like a low chance, but it is like, you apply Burning Embers and 2-3 seconds later it will impact on the enemy. Now, for jewelry, I do actually recommend running Triune. I simply did not have the Transmute stones yet to actually trade change them. For now, I run just Arcane, but on the website you will find the best in slot setup, or the let's say recommended setup to have Triune, just so we get a little bit more health and stamina. It doesn't matter whether we have 27 or 28k Magicka, but a little bit more health and stamina might be nice. So that's why I do recommend Triune. But if you don't want to transmute the jewelry, just keep them Arcane, it also works. On all the Battleground fights on YouTube, like the videos I uploaded, I basically play with 3 Arcane. Now for traits, for enchantments. So I have 1 Magicka recovery, 1 reduced cost of spell, and 1 spell damage. Now if you want to improve your sustain, you could technically run another Magicka recovery glyph or a reduced spell cost glyph. Okay, that's the thing. So you see, this build is highly adjustable. If you feel like you don't have enough sustain, change to Atronach Mundus. If it's still enough, use recovery glyph, but with the Atronach it should be more than fine. Front bar, a fire staff, Nirnhound with a flame damage enchantment. Nirnhound overall increases our spell damage again, so our heals are higher, our shields get bigger, and so on. Back bar, you want the Maelstrom restoration stuff. So you see, when you critically heal with regeneration, you restore 800 Magicka. This effect can occur once every 4 seconds. So that's quite a lot of extra Magicka. That's why this build is so nice. Man, this bug, Jesus Christ. Whatever. The outfit doesn't seem to really like me that much. Okay, even worse. Anyway. So this is a lot of extra magic recovery. So you really want to make sure to have a Maelstrom restoration stuff. And also make sure it's infused and with weapon damage, enchantment. Because that way we reach a high number. And you want to weapon swap every few seconds and always do light attacks. Because it will proc the infused. We can basically keep it up 100%. This 452 weapon and spell damage. Now, this also gets amplified by spell damage buff and so on. So it's more like 500 to 550 in the end. That's why we have such a high spell damage value. So that's about this. Here setup, like I said, I have 2 setups on my website. Both are light armor, because this build is bursty. Now, in case you want to play in the Champion Points campaign, which totally works, I also have played there a few times. 1 Siphoner, 75 Warlord, and Sprinter. You want to have a high number here, because we are in light armor. Break free costs quite a lot, so this will actually help. 75 Arcanist to increase our recovery, 58 and 30. Then we have 19, 31, 37, 43, 48, 56, and 16. 52, 47, 28, 43, 43, 37. Now again, in Battlegrounds and non-champion points campaign, you do not need this. You only need champion points in the champion points campaign. Keep that in mind. Passives, you want all the class passives here. Then you want destruction stuff passives and restoration stuff. Light armor, heavy armor, the first 3. This gives you a little bit more max health. This is just like a little bit more sustain and some resistance. It's not a lot, but it's helpful. Then if you want, you can use those, but they're not mandatory. You don't need any of this. If you want, you could play with some switching abilities. For example, like acceleration. But it's really tough to swap out some of those abilities. We'll get to that in a second. You need Undaunted. The racial passives. If you play in Cyrodiil, make sure to have the Assault and Support activated. And then in Alchemy, you want medicinal use, so your potions have 100% uptime. Now in terms of skills, there is a few possible like skills or abilities that you can swap out. I have a list on my site. Now I will explain why I run this setup in Battlegrounds. So let's start with the front bear. This is our front bar. Did I say bear? This is our damage bar. Burning Embers. Now this, like I said, even the initial damage tick hits so hard, and then the dot is so strong. Now what's very nice with this ability, heals you for 75% of the total damage inflicted when the effect ends. Now, if you reapply this early before the effect ends, it will still heal you for all the damage inflicted. So that's one very nice burst heal, which you can kinda calculate. Oh, I dropped low health. Just press this button, reapply it on the enemy. You get full health and the dot will again go on the enemy. Shattering Rocks or Fossilize. I'm experimenting a little bit with this. Usually I run Fossilize because it's snares, but I want to try this out. Encase an enemy in stone, stunning them for 3 seconds. When stun ends, the enemy's next attack used within 4 seconds heals its target for 5k. Now what's so special about this ability is that it basically, like when the enemy is blocking or dodge rolling, you can still apply this. This is a very powerful ability against stamina setups, because they dodge roll a lot, and even when they're mid dodge roll, you can still stun them. And once they're stunned, they're basically dead, because Flame Lash hits like a truck. Now keep in mind, like I said, Fossilize might be the better choice, because off balance and stuff like that. But I also like this here because it gives him a little more health. But like I said, I'm just testing out. I do recommend Fossilize. Now Flame Lash, if you strike an enemy that is immobile or stunned, you set them off balance. Targeting an off balance enemy changes this ability into Power Lash, allowing you to lash an enemy with more intense flame to deal 7.5k damage. Flame damage, stun them for 2 seconds and heal you for 11k health. So once enemy is set off balanced and Power Lash activates, you get the huge burst heal, and it deals also more damage at the same time, and it costs nothing. So yeah, it's a really powerful ability. Elemental Drain. But this is a very important one. Always apply this on the targets, because first off it applies Major Breach, so it reduces their resistance, and it applies Minor Magicka Steal. So you will also increase your Magicka return on this, with this on the enemy. Plus, if you're alone or if you have group members that are Sorks or like Nightblades or just any Magicka setup, they will also deal more damage and they will also get the Magicka return. Empowering Chains. Launch a Fury Chain to grasp and pull you to an enemy, dealing 3.3k flame damage and granting you 2 uses of Empower, increasing the damage of your next 2 light attacks by 40%. Now this is one very strong ability, especially in Battlegrounds. Well, not only there, but... The thing is, first off, like I said, it gives you Empower on the 2 next light attacks, and we have a Fire Staff. Fire Staff light attacks hit freaking hard, okay? Ancient Knowledge, so Flame Staff increases your damage done with single target abilities by 8%. So just overall, this is single target, this. It's just so much extra damage, and the light attacks on top of that. Another good thing is, grants Major Expedition, increasing your movement speed by 30% for 6 seconds. And once again, this attack cannot be dodged or reflected. I got quite a lot of questions. Well, why do I use chains sometimes over flame lash? So now, like again, there is a lot of stem setups or builds in general that when they're low health they dodge roll to heal back up. Now you see this deals 3.3k flame damage unbuffed. This here deals 6.3k. So you still get like half the damage from a real lash. And when the enemy is low, he's panicking, he's dodge rolling too much. It doesn't matter, he cannot dodge roll this attack, so he will get damage anyway. And I kill off a lot of targets with this ability. Just because they try to dodge roll to avoid the damage, but they cannot dodge roll this. Plus, they cannot run away because you can keep chaining yourself to them. Ferocious Leap, this hits like a truck. I have almost one-shot people with this ability. First off, it deals a lot of damage, and after leaping you gain a damage shield that absorbs 51% of your max health in damage for 6 seconds. You also gain a huge shield. And it's quite cheap. Now, back bar. This is our buff bar, Reflective Plate. They changed this ability on activation, removes all snares and I think also roots. So this is a very powerful ability. Max orcs have really high damage this patch, so this, if you keep the wings up, they really cannot kill you. Because they rely on crystal frag combos and just stuff like that. And if they can't get the crystal frag on you because you reflect it, they will not be able to kill you. Next thing, Mutachain. Now this is for the restoration stuff. First off, we get Magicka back from this. You see the blue glow, this is when we get 800 Magicka. On top of that, it heals you, it's a heal over time, a very strong one. And if you or your allies fall below 20% health, the Mutachain is consumed but heals an immediate 4.4k health and removes one harmful effect. So it can kind of be like a small burst heal and also some negative effect removal. Plus you also support your group with this. Healing Ward, our only shield, we don't need any other shield. Call on your staff strength to protect you or the lowest health ally around you with a damage shield. It absorbs 2.4k damage while also healing the target for 2k health. The shield strength is increased by up to 300% depending on how low your health is. And while the shield expires, the target is healed for 105% of the shield's remaining strength. Now when you look at my health bar, it's 2.3k. And the interesting thing about Healing Ward is, like when we activate the pot, it's 2.5k. So if we are fully spell buffed, Healing Ward gets so freaking strong because it scales off spell damage. And probably some other stuff. So that's why this is our most important shield and basically the only one, because we really don't need anything else. We want to play bursty, so don't try to play too defensive. You just need to learn not to run into the middle of the enemies. Pick them up around the corners. Next thing, Volatile Armor. Gives you Major Ward and Major Resolve. So we have 15.5k here. When we activate this, it goes up to 21 and 16 in light armor. So we have pretty nice resistances. Also, while active, the armor returns 1k magic damage to the enemy, and when I release, it's just extra dot damage, and it actually can kill off targets. On top of that, This is a Draconic Power ability. While a Draconic Power ability is active, your healing received is increased by 12%. So while this is active, you have extra healing. Another thing. We will get into the passives in a second. Cauterize, one of the most powerful heals from a Dragon Knight class ability, very underestimated. While slotted, you also gain Major Prophecy on the back bar, but we use spell crit pots anyway, so whatever. I tried to fit this on the front bar, but I'm more comfortable on the back bar. But a lot of people prefer to run like, I'm not sure if I have tri-stat pots, but I really recommend running the spell crit or detect ones. You could technically run this on the front bar to get the crit there. This heals for a lot. This heals also your group mates. Now, if you have 2 or 3 mech DKs in your group and all use this, that's a lot of extra heals. Then the last thing, Light's Champion or Life Giver. Any friendly target you heal gains Major Force and Major Protection for 5 seconds. Now, I'm testing this out again. I actually do prefer the other morph, Life Giver. It's just more overall healing ticks, but I'm just testing this out now. So on the website, it will be Life Giver, and I will actually probably swap back to that. This is another heal over time, which is insane, and like while this is active, you're not gonna rip. So we have this heal, this heal, this heal, Healing Ward, and Burning Ember. So we have so much heals, it's really hard to actually kill us. Yeah. And usually enemies die between 2 to 3 seconds because we have so much damage, like you can see in the Battlegrounds gameplay footage. Some other important passives I would like to mention. Combustion. When you apply burning to an enemy, you restore 500 Magicka. When you apply poison to an enemy, you restore 500 stamina. So this is also another sustain tool that we have. Because we run a flame glyph, it actually burning applies quite a lot. Then a few others, apply snares, doesn't really matter that much. Like I said, the extra healing gain is nice. And here, Battle Roar, so when we activate the ultimate, we restore Magicka stamina and health. Then we have Mountains. First, this gives us a little bit faster ulti chain if you use Shattering Rocks or Fossilize. And Helping Hands, when you cast an Earth and Heart ability, you restore 1k stamina, so this helps a little bit with our quite low stamina. Other than that, if you want to restore heavy Magicka through heavy attacks, do it on the rest of stuff. Because here, it restores an additional 30 Magicka. That's more or less the most important ones. Now, what other abilities could you run? So if you like, on the back bar, instead of wings, or you could run like Engulfing Flames to get 10% more fire damage. That would be an option, or use this instead of the Empowering Chains. But I really do recommend this setup, to be honest. But that would be another option you have. You could also run Burning Talons if you play in a group. They deal, like the synergy of this. Burning Talons deals initial damage over time, deals so much damage. Yeah. You might wonder, well, why don't you use Fragmented Shield because of Major Mending? You don't need it. You have so much healing over time effects, and just in general, it's enough healing. You just need to learn not to run into a group and get gangbanged. Pick them off at the corner when they try to run away and so on. So it's just the positioning that you need to learn. I think I explained most important mechanics. Once again, I have gameplay footage. I will also use this build on stream more, so make sure to tune into my stream on Twitch. We do have a Discord channel where everything is about Elder Scrolls Online, and since Summerset it has grown rapidly, so I also recommend joining there. And please don't forget to subscribe, all links in the description. I think I covered everything. Once again, keep in mind, this is a different playstyle from a usual heavy armor build. So if you see yourself running out of stamina a lot and so on, then you just block too much. You don't need to block that much. As long as you keep your healing skills up, defensive abilities, you will be fine. So it's just getting used to a different playstyle. If you have more questions, just join my live stream. I can answer always there. That's more or less it. I think I covered everything. If you found the video useful, please hit the juicy like button. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Cheers.